All right, I got the chat room screen set up. We got all the screens set up. Welcome, my people. It is 1:30 a.m. and we're live here with the Space Water Podcast exclusive broadcast right here on it. Are we live? Yeah, we're live right here on YouTube. Yes, we're live. People are in the chat. Let me know you're there with me in the chat room. I should have put it up as a premiere or something like that, but I have to do that from my phone. I don't know. I got to figure out how to work the YouTube, um, the OBS studio and all that, where I could do the premiere and have the green screen set up where it's not on Zoom. But we're starting to get people joining here. Welcome everybody. You can find me at themysticalspiral.com, themysticalspiralstore.com, patreon.com/themysticalspiral. I actually just started a Rumble account as well. Space Water 369. There's three different Rumble accounts actually. The Mystical TMS, Copper and Gemstones, Space Water Podcast, and Space Water 369. And also there's three channels here on YouTube that you can subscribe to as well. That's right here, Exploring the Ka with Castaldo. This channel that you're on right here is one of them, of course. And then there's also the Mystical Spiral channel, TMS, Copper and Gemstones. And also I have a combat sports channel called Combat Sports TV International at MMA Shaman. You can get to that. Or it's either at MMA Shaman or at Combat Sports TV International. Either one of those names you could find it. Same thing with this channel here, Exploring the Ka with Rock Castaldo. You guys can see the title of tonight's podcast, Rudra, the Howler of Cannibal Solar Plasma Storms. That's right, everybody. An incredible title. And this is actually information we're going to be unveiling from the adepts from the ancient past, where they had advanced knowledges of the sciences that we're just starting to find out about today. But guess what? They also are explaining the spiritual intelligences and significances behind these cosmic and solar stellar phenomena. And we're going to go deep into some of the most ancient forms of aligning, not just worshiping, but aligning themselves. The paths that the ancient seers and rishis of Vedic types of yoga and Vedic practices and bloodlines, the way they were aligning themselves to solar and stellar streams so they can literally be immortal, right? So they can literally live indefinitely amongst the stars. Now, the path of the Rishi in Vedic yoga has intimately and intensely has to do with aligning with all aspects of the light, the streams of light that's coming from the sun, coming from the stars. And there's different aspects of the solar deities. Some come as forms of the gods of death and destroyers. Some come in many different forms, like it could be a healing and fertility god, but it also is a destruction god as well, right? These are different aspects of stars and suns. And we're going to go deep into some of the lore and mythology and attributes of some of the oldest Vedic gods and showing you how they include some of the most incredible advanced sciences of plasma physics and astrophysics of today, and the spiritual significance behind them as well, and how it has to do with what's going on right now at the planet. And us unlocking this information collectively in us is very important. It's very important, everybody. It's very important for us to unlock the ancient knowledge of this wisdom, because we have lost the origins of this sacred knowledge. And when things start to activate collectively, it'll form a chain reaction. And we need to bring back some of this knowledge so we can understand it's not about bringing back ancient forms of worship. It's not about bringing back ancient gods of the past or ancient rites or sacrifices or all of this of the past, right? Because you have to understand also that the origins and true knowledge of this information has been misused and twisted and mistranslated and lost many, many times. Some of it passed down through oral traditions, and the true origins and significance and meaning has been lost many times over. And now it's calling out for us to once again bring back the truth behind some of this knowledge. And it's going to come in the forms of light, streams of information coming from the stars. And right now, we have incredible things happening on our sun, especially even on the far side of our sun. Super cannibal-like solar storms. What we mean by a cannibal solar storm is that they're like rapid fire, almost like say you had like uh an automatic weapon, like it's like they're firing coronal mass ejection plasma loops, Pasha loops coming from the solar deity, but they're coming so fast that one coronal mass ejection, which are these twisting magnetic field lines that form these arcs, these loops, these ankhs, right? And eventually they snap and burst sometimes, right? But these loops, they're happening so fast that one is taking over the other, cannibalizing the other, and adding to the force and strength, right? These are weapons of the gods. This is the golden noose, the golden lasso of the gods, right? And this is one of the biggest revelations I had working with sacred sites on the planet and doing solar meditations. And I have been asked to speak at the Universal Peace Conference in India with the sage and seer, solar seer, Uma Sankar, the sun yogi. And I've been doing my forms of solar meditations and playing songs and working with the birds and nature at dawn and at certain times of the day for years. And working with Himalayan quartz as well. I think it actually manifested for this Himalayan seer to come into my life. Now I don't agree with one being called the guru. So there are aspects that I don't agree with. But then again, how many people in the world do you completely agree on everything that they say and everything that they do? Right. So unfortunately, nowadays, one of the biggest flaws in humanity that I've noticed, and it's, I have my flaws, don't get me wrong, but the one flaw that I don't have, and I never even had it as a kid as well, and I noticed certain people, even in my own family, that have it, it's like in them to be this way, but I never had it as a kid either. Maybe because I was affected by that sort of vibe that it's like almost like sometimes if you grow up with an alcoholic parent, or a lot of times that'll make you scared straight, right? I didn't grow up with an alcoholic parent or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying sometimes when you experience something, it makes you go away from doing that. Well, I kind of got that vibe of people that sort of like hate on you for certain reasons just because you're good at something, or they just, there's like a certain vibe about people where uh I don't know what the exact trait is, if it's jealousy um or if there's something more internal that triggers it, but I just never, there's certain things about people where nowadays especially, where if they disagree, they feel like they can't be friends. Or if someone is good at something, somebody else that maybe is close to them will be almost angry at them for it and things like that. Whenever like I had someone in my life that I loved, whether it be a sibling or a friend, and they were good at something, and I also appreciate what they were good at. Like I was proud of them for it, and would encourage it. I wouldn't try to make poke fun at it or this or that or whatever, just because I was jealous in any way, right? A lot of people tend to do that, or they feel like if that you have a different opinion than them, or if you criticize something that they agree like are like all about, that it's like a war against them and you're like sort of insulting them now. Now, I don't understand why people can't disagree and still be friends, as long as they're not like being completely disrespectful to you about it. I mean, say say somebody has like a strong opinion about something, and you have a strong opinion about that same topic, but it's on the other side of the table. Now, you guys were great friends before that topic came up, and now all of a sudden, because you have clashing opinions and because the other person was truthful about how they felt, you think it's like some sort of like violation against you. And this is like the Asura current. When we talk about the Asura and Deva war, this war is happening on various levels of existence. It's not just at a cosmic level for the light. It's different ways the light affects sentient life as well. We are absorbing the light. Also, that we have emanations coming out of us that is telling the light what we want to be. The light sends back down its plasma streams and codes with the appropriate evolving information to evolve us according to our own vibration, right? What our souls are calling out to be, what we're thinking about, what we ultimately are acting out and vibrating and pulsating out of us is being absorbed by the moon. It's being absorbed by the sun. It's being pulled in those emanations. It's being pulled literally all that vibration. When we have a coronal mass ejection, right? Things like this, it's literally a golden noose that's coming and sweeping all of those negative energies and different things on the planet and taking it back with it to the sun. Boom. Literally described like this in Vedism and with Ganesha and Hinduism, right? He wields the golden noose, the Pasha, and lassos the obstacles on earth and pulls them back into the celestial waters. Right? Also, it's a weapon of Yama. It's a weapon of Varuna. And these are solar deities of death and destruction, solar deities of the solar ocean with Varuna. And this is incredible poetic ways of describing not just plasma physics that we have today, but the spiritual significance behind it all as well. How these solar storms arise not just from the sentient life vibration that's coming out, but also different places amongst the universe and the galaxy and things like this have incoming streams of plasma that also affect our sun that science is completely not talking about. They're aware of these places, like one of them being the Eridanus supervoid, this massive structure of the universe, this cold void in the Eridanus River, right? And the Eridanus River is talked about in all mythologies as the river of souls. And this is an interesting place, right? Very interesting place. And I've gone into it in other podcasts and things like that. But we're gonna go deep tonight, guys. You are in for a treat. This is the Space Water Podcast, and the shows are sponsored by the Mystical Spiral Store.com. you guys can see my website. If you're new to who I am, of course, my name is Castaldo. I'll share my website with you guys. This is the mysticalspiralstore.com. I actually just made all new, and these are going to be affordable for everybody because I made littler pendants today of the shungite, because I really feel that everybody out there, no matter if you're spiritual or religious, it has no matter, because certain things have scientific properties that work, right? Like EMF protection and things like that, like the combination of really, really high quality carbon 60 elite noble shungite and twisted copper and silver, to amplify that vibration and deliver a harmonic resonant frequency of the royal qubit, which is 144 hertz, which is a harmonic light speed, around the elite noble shungite stone. Really incredible. And I also have mini ones that are available. I just made 4 of them right before we got the twisted copper and the regular silver copper coils as well. Look at even these little mini ones of shungite I just made. So these ones I'm going to put up for like $24. That's so doable for everybody. And that includes shipping. And it costs about $6 a ship. So that's, you're getting it for less than $20 for the pendant. We also got high quality, big ass gemstone ones, like this one just made of Super 7. Beautiful scepter, Super 7 scepter. I'll show you guys that in a little while. But the mysticalspiralstore.com. Let me see who's in the chat room tonight. Nobody in the chat room? We got 8 people out there listening. You guys, let me know if you're in the chat room tonight here. So yeah, we got all new products up. The Mystical Spiral Store. You guys can find me there. And we will also check it out later in the show. So you guys see, hey, to Rebecca, we do have some people in the chat room. Shout out to Rebecca Haroldson. So yeah, so tonight we have some extreme super solar storms, and people, unfortunately, science is keeping spirituality completely separate out there, right? Or it's kept at completely ends of the spectrum, so the two are not merged together. The spiritual significance behind the solar storms and the intelligence of the sun that we can't even fathom is explained in such an incredible way. And there's such the true force behind some of the ancient languages like Sanskrit, people don't understand, because the whole language is developed as a language to harness cosmic energy and attune us to that cosmic energy. So we're aligned with the harmonic flow of the universe, and we're evolving according with the flow of the nature and the universe, and we're part of it, and we understand our part of it, just like the birds understand, and the animals understand their place in nature and the universe. And because of our confusion now and our technologies, we are messing up the magnetic alignments of the planet, of the harmonic fields, and it's screwing up other sentient life on this planet and the vibration and harmony of nature that they help sustain and merge with the light of the universe. Right? What's up, Tech Lords Gaming Cyber Lounge? Whoa. Gaming Cyber Lounge, the Tech Lord. Whoa. So we have some of the most incredible things that's described right in some of the plasma physics today, right in ancient Vedic. And let's go into it, right? Let's start to go into first. Let's describe some of the oldest gods. People have heard of Shiva, right? Well, Shiva in its older form is basically Rudra, right? Rudra. Like think about that right there, right? This is part of where you get a lot of the origins. This is the origins of a lot of things that you'll see later on in Egyptian. Um, this is the origins of some of the of actually it is the oldest information that we have on the planet is is ancient Vedic Sanskrit, and the Rig Veda is probably the oldest holy writings that we have on the planet, right? And these are probably um what people said is Lemurian, Atlantean. This was all what became Vedic culture, right? And we have one of the oldest of the gods. This is a destroyer god, but it also can be ones that's used for healing. Shout out to Alicia Rose as well, right? So these are scientific explanations and spiritually merged explanations with it, right? So it's incredible. And the Vedic seers, they were in tune with whether they are explaining it in a scientific aspect or not, they were in tune with the intelligences that were behind the solar wind, the powers and technologies of the sun, and different attributes of suns and stars, right? And it's talked about eloquently in all of the gods, right? And even when we come down to Vedic, we're going to get into like Inanna and goddesses like that, because Inanna is the one that wields the solar storms. Even Lilith is the one that when she's perched with her ankhs, right? And she's got those two coronal loops in her hands, and they're producing the golden rings, and they're part owl. This is the what comes at night. The information that comes at night is this chaotic information that comes within the magnetotail. It's the bird at night, the owl at night, and it blankets us while we sleep. This cosmic information that comes in, awaiting for dawn to arise, to burst out in the light, right? And it comes down in on auroras as well, and invades us while we sleep. And this cosmic radiation is DNA, RNA stripping type of information, right? This is incredible forms of matter that we can't truly understand or comprehend. And we're going to get into it, right? Scalar healing, right? It's very well, you know what? Scalar healing and Rife healing, and you guys can get into the work of Wilhelm Reich and orgone. I have orgone generators and pyramids and powered devices that are power connect to frequency generators and different things. So very similar to scalar energy. And scalar energy is produced by my tensor coils, right? Even the ones that I wrap around crystals. Some the more expensive ones are the twisted copper that are tensor coils, so to say, but you can get the less expensive where it's just a regular copper coil. But there's way more copper that goes involved with the twisted copper. And here's an ankh I made of the twisted copper. This is the coronal loop right here, the Pasha, the golden noose of the gods. And you can see this represents even the spiraling electrons, the twisting electrons and twisting magnetic field lines that go along. And we have Rudra the Howler in Vedic, right? The origins of Shiva. And he's called the Whistler, the Howler, the Roarer. And this is incredible, incredible information that has to do with plasma solar storms, right? From the ancient Vedics from thousands of years ago. They're talking about stuff that we're just coming into, that we need these the solar orbiter and these incredible types of technologies to be able to detect and see these things, right? But the Vedic seers had the sight. Do you realize this? The Vedic seers had that sight where they can see the plasma streams. They can see the coronal loops from the sun, the superstorms from the sun. And they were shown the telepathic spiritual light and anchored in with it. And they knew the significance and they gave symbolism, universal symbolism they were shown to help bring humanity and align humanity. Now, as things got lost in translation, they became mythologies and given very earthly attributes. Right? Shout out to Isaac. Much love to Isaac, longtime friend and moderator on my channel. Beautiful brother right there, Isaac. Always think about you, brother. For some reason, you pop in my mind all the time, brother. Love for you to come meet my family if you ever come to New York, for sure, brother. I could take you to the Hensel Gracie gym and stuff, and you'd like that shit. You can meet Luis Azeredo and the dudes from Shoot the Box. And I'll take you to the sacred sites around here in the lower Hudson Valley. But yeah, you know, Rudra and Indra and these sacred solar deities that have to do with Surya intelligence, the solar intelligence, the Aditis, right? The maruts. The maruts is the solar prominence, coronal mass ejection storms, and the intelligences that come with it's the intelligences inside that storm, the plasma life that congregate and dive into the planet in these storms, even in lightning storms. And this has been shown and proven and recorded by NASA. Now we have these Marut seers, these plasma sentient beings that are diving into storms, and they are the producers of roar, of Rudra, the Howler, the roarer. And it's talked about. And lightning was the downpour that brought cosmic rain, and that's plasma physics, right? And this is talked about in the Vedics. It's talked about, right? It's talked about in the Rig Veda. The Rig Veda has 3 types of lightning within the Rig Veda. You know, there's one that brings a little bit of rain, and this unfortunately is being translated as only lightning on Earth. But this is the lightning that is coming from the solar deity, everybody. So understand the context in it. Unfortunately, a lot of scholars, when they translate the Vedas, some scholars actually give it the cosmic significance. But unfortunately, some scholars, when they translate the Vedas, they'll translate and interpret it certain things that is talking about cosmic solar waters as earthly waters. And yes, a lot of places on the earth, especially in India, were named after cosmic coordinates because this is where the light was shining down upon. The plasma stream that was coming down, as it shined upon the lake, it became a sacred lake and named after the light that was shining upon it. The same as certain hilltops and mountains. It was named after the light that was shining upon it, right? And the cosmic origins of it, right? The Nile River, right? It's named after its cosmic counterpart, right? Really incredible. And you had different types of lightning. Now, I have talked about in previous shows how Vitra, the Naga, the supreme serpent being that's coiled around Earth, has to do with a region of our magnetosphere. I mean, listen to the context that we're talking about. We're talking about something that emerges from cosmic waters. It's described as a cosmic demon serpent that's coiled around Earth, right? That steals the cattle of Indra. And the cattle of Indra, of course, translates as what? There's people that have been following my work and that have been doing their research out there, right? What is the cattle of Indra, or the cattle of the solar deities? This is the light of the sun. Remember this, when you see cattle, bull references from the ancient Rig Veda all the way down to the Hopi of the Southwest of America, we're talking about symbology and ways of poetically describing the light of the sun. Remember that. When you're talking about the cattle of Indra or Vitra, who steals the cattle of Indra, he's stealing the light from the sun. And this is what the magnetotail does at night. It's taking what becomes auroras and gets all chaotic in there. Literally, the magnetotail stretches out on the night side like a long serpent, like Apep or Apophis that's speared by Set, right? It's the Tiamat and Marduk story. It's the Indra slaying Vitra. Indra, with his solar thunderbolt, releases the waters that's taken into the magnetotail, which is Vitra, that's coiled around Earth in the magnetosphere. It is the magnetotail, remember that. And Vitra is a lightning that's talked about. When I said there's 3 types of lightning that's talked about in the Rig Veda, which is the oldest of the Vedas, remember that. These are the holy scriptures of Sanskrit Vedic. And the oldest of these holy books is the Rig Veda, right? And there's 3 types of lightnings we have in there. One is that is accompanied by cosmic and earthly rain, right? One is produced and associated with Vitra, this cosmic lightning, and this one is accompanied by little or no rain, right? Because he's stealing the light into the magnetotail. It's a different type of lightning, right? It's the what becomes auroras, and that is a chaotic little happening that's going on in the magnetotail, and they eventually burst at the poles, right? Inject this cosmic light codes that is space water. And this space water is released by Indra with his coronal mass ejection thunderbolt, his golden lasso coming from the sun, right? His spear that pierces the magnetotail and releases the cosmic waters that's pulled in there, the cattle of Indra, taken by Vitra. And this is groundbreaking reemergence of this knowledge. I am translating something that scholars have been debating for hundreds of years, people. Realize this. For hundreds of years, scholars have been debating this. And those are not boogers in there. It's just the light in my nose. I have to explain it because if you get a quick, it's just the light. But the lightning also, there's a 3rd type of lightning that's followed by a downpour. And this downpour is connected with Indra, right? So Indra is piercing, he's the solar deity, wielding his thunderbolt from the sun and piercing the magnetotail. And this is a lightning that kills people and causes widespread destruction. And it's also attributed to the minor solar deity Rudra, who's the roarer, the howler. And this is the exact noise and music that the sun makes in this form, you know. And this is one of later he becomes Shiva, right? And he's one of the 8 forms of Shiva later on as well. And you know, Shiva is now one of the most important people in Hinduism, and but he's known as the storm god, the soul. But more importantly, what they usually leave out is he's the solar storm god, right? He's the cannibal CME delivering god of plasma storms. He's Rudra the Terrible, right? And academics and scholars have been like poring over these texts, trying to understand this enigmatic description and mysterious description of this god, as well as Yama, right? Yama. Yama is the one that brings death and destruction as well. And what does Yama wield, everybody? So let me show you, share screen for a section to show you what Yama yields. So let me show you guys right here. So this is the god Yama, right? Yama is the one of the gods of death and destruction, and he's portrayed. Now remember, when you see a solar deity, and don't get it misunderstood, even though he's the god of death, he's the death aspect of the sun. He's a solar cosmic being, right? And when you see the many arms and legs sometimes of these deities, this is the many rays, the many arms, the swirling arms of the sun. And usually within some of these arms, you'll see different attributes and weapons of the sun. And you see here, right here, what do we have here? We first have his mace type wand that's in a spear type club that's in the shape of a coronal loop as well, right? And then we have the twisting cords that form these loops. And this is described as a golden lasso or pasha. That is a lasso or golden noose that lassos the demons and pulls them into the celestial waters, that lassos obstacles and removes them from Earth. And also it moves like naga snakes through the cosmic waters and solar waters. I mean, it's incredible how it's described, and it's talked about in all cultures. And you guys can see that if you're new to my channel and you've never seen what a coronal mass ejection loop is, um, then let me show you guys. So this is that same noose that they're talking about that Yama is holding. This is what it looks like on the sun when we have our extreme technology to be able to detect and see them, right? Well, the ancient seers, they knew this. They could see it. They had the deep insight into this, right? And Rudra, they even have mantras that align people to these storms and help prevent these storms from damaging our DNA. Okay. And some of these storms can bring in cosmic changes for us in a positive way and eliminate some of the evil that is penetrating us in a negative way. Right. And, we have certain mantras that are dedicated to Rudra, the Howler, the Roarer, that we'll get into later. We'll talk about that in another form, in a few minutes. But you guys, his animal is going to be the bull, right? Certain deities will be the cow because they're giving the milking, creating, life-giving light of the sun. And some of them are going to be talked about as the fierce, terrible bull, the roarer, the bull of heaven. And this is ultimately where you get the name Baal from. He's the bull of the sun, the bull of the heavens, right? He's the solar bull. And Baal is also ultimately from its essence is a storm deity as well. But people forget it's a solar storm deity. He brings the solar clouds, the plasma clouds, the solar plasma wind, the solar. He's the wind god, the lightning god, the thorn. This is the same as Zeus, right? This is the same as Baal, and they always merge with the cosmic virgin waters goddess, like with Baal and Asherah, right? And this is a union that's talked about. In fact, they do tetrads in a lot of these that people, a lot of times you hear about like the triple deity. Well, a lot of them are also tetrads that people forget about, where they add the warrior and destruction aspect to them as well, right? So Rudra, he has his warlike exploits of the maruts that come out of Rudra's howling roar, right? his super solar coronal mass ejection roar of Rudra has intelligences that congregate amongst each other and penetrate Earth. All right. And these are called the maruts in Vedism, Maruts. And these maruts are also talked about as seers, solar seers, right? And they're ultimately, Rudra is the son of the dawn. He's the son of the goddess Ushas, and Ushas is the morning dawn, the light, right? So these are not people. People remember that. They are given earthly descriptions. Well, it's 211 over here. Now 212. 212 over here. I'm on the East Coast. I'm on the lower Hudson Valley, right on the phantom shores of the ghostly Hudson River of New York here, right along places where everybody from George Washington to Benedict Arnold swam along and took night dips in the Hudson River, right down the street where I buy groceries. In the parking lot there is a sign that says, now there's like a Salvation Army friggin' clothes drop next to it, and a parking lot for Aldi's and different grocery stores. But there's a sign right there, like a New York State, one of those historical signs that says, "Oh, right here is the spot." I have a video of it on my YouTube right here. Right here is the spot where George Washington's walnut tree was, where he used to have his troops gather, and he used to pay them their rations and their fees or whatever for the week. I'm like, wow, it went from being George Washington's walnut tree to a Tractor Supply store right here, and Aldi's, really incredible, and a Salvation Army clothes drop in a parking lot, and a lawyer's firm, incredible. But yeah, so let's get into the spiritual significance behind these solar storms. And shout out to Isaac. Isaac, I actually have a really good next time. I actually gotta I'm gonna be shipping something out to you because I have a gift for you that I gotta give to you. I have a few people some gifts from Patreon that I gotta shift out. But once I get a few more sales from my website, I'll ship them out because I'm mad broke. I don't even have a car for my family right now. My car can only go about 2 miles because I fixed it just enough to where it can go like to the grocery store and back for now. But like, yeah, things are tight right now. Times are rough, but I chose certain paths in life, and like I worked for uh like really back-breaking physical jobs for over 20 years. And then right before COVID happened, I knew it was coming. I was talking about it online. Right before all the changes happened with the employment, I sort of left my old job, and started doing my business now, my own small business. And sometimes the first couple of years you don't even make a profit with your business. And I had to get a lot of inventory to start my business, and that's kind of the thing right now. We're behind the ball right now because of all of our inventory that we got. But it's sort of that thing where I felt like if you build it, they will come, and I built it. So now it's time for us to change the world with our frequency. We got the gear, and we're all going through spiritual wars, whether it's you wake up every day, you go to war over decisions you have to make, whether it's what you eat, where you go, who you uh, spend your time with, all these different decisions that you make, right? From the most spiritual significance to it to the most mundane little decisions you make at work and different, all of these affect your journey throughout the day and ultimately your life. And every little decision you make sends you on a different path, right? It alters your timeline. And like when you're going through these wars, right? These are very significant in your life. Anybody that's a warrior needs certain tools to assist them in the battle, to help protect their mind, body, and soul so they can be clear and focus and be more attuned to who they are and their place in the battle. And that's where the mystical spiral store comes from and is developed. And it's taken me many, many years of going through my own experiences and traumas and being going through the ringer in life, from being younger and ending up in group homes and juvenile detentions and things like that, to going into Muay Thai and being a pro fighter for a little while and experiencing the humbling experience of that. And then, even doing competitive wrestling in school and soccer and different sports like that, it teaches you lessons. And then being on the street for a significant amount of time when I was younger, it changes you as well. And, for a while I went through a lot of different stages in my life that led me to some ways the universe showed me some answers that I was looking for many, many years ago, right? You have to go to battle for the truth. And now in my later 40s, I'm 46 now. I'm just starting to be shown some of these things that I've been going to war over for over 20 years, right? So I can almost say that a lot of my old videos from a couple of like maybe prior to like 2 or 3 years ago, that was like my footwork to finding some of the truth. A lot of it, I could say I was wrong with some of it. I was just I was figuring out some of the things that I experienced and was shown. But now I'm getting more attuned to who I am, my place in things, and ultimately uh the journey that I'm on, right? And a lot of times it has to do with our egos and a lot of things that are are going on with us and things like that. And through scholarship alone, you're never going to find the answers you're looking for, right? But once a key is unlocked and true universal answer is given to you, like I know the true origins of the Pasha and the Ankh of Egypt, whether it was used in different aspects with different dynasties and solar dynasties, yes, I'm sure it was. Because not everything was not awakened within certain lines, right? It's been lost many times over. I know this was a cosmic key that was given to me, and it formed a chain reaction of awakening some of the things that I was shown throughout my life through certain experiences. It gave me certain answers that I've been thinking about and and confused about for many, many, many years, right? There were certain things that I experienced from in 1987 during an experience, when I had to have an operation to save my life, and throughout different stages in my life that I was confused about for decades. And you're never going to maybe have the true answers of the whole situation, but at least I was given, I had to, I think, go to war for it and prove that your your quest is honorable, right? And it's for the good of the collective. Because with ancient knowledge or universal knowledge, like Spider-Man, right? With like intense, it comes responsibility with certain knowledge. And I think NASA and different places are well aware of the significance behind some of these storms. Why do you think they're watched and monitored and everything is such precisely watched and have all these expensive probes everywhere monitoring every minute of certain things? I mean, why do you think this is? Right? Because they're aware. Even certain things like acronyms they end up having for certain things, it's just too coincidental. Certain names they end up picking of ancient gods that what they choose to like to represent a certain technology. I mean, it's just there's deeper significance behind that unless there's some other force that is cosmically also guiding the whisper in the wind that's guiding certain people to come up with those names, and it looks like it just came naturally, but it's an unseen telepathic force literally from the light that we're absorbing from different stars and suns that's making us name us these specific names. Because as we just like the way Sanskrit was developed as it's called the language of the gods for a reason. It's developed off Shiva's cosmic drum. Literally, the different sounds of Sanskrit, the different ways that certain syllables are pronounced and vowels are pronounced, and all of these are pronounced, whether it's from the palate whether it's from the roof of the mouth, different ways of vibrating certain words, and they were sung in hymn mantra form, in metered tones, right? In mantra form. And they were a certain vibration is generated by by every sound of Sanskrit that is said to be developed from the primal sounds of the universe. The very primal sounds of the sun and stars and supernova explosions, right? Your ultimate emotion, the death of an individual, that sound coming from the body can be mimicked in a mantra of Sanskrit. And it's like a supernova explosion of a star, right? And true Vedic Sanskrit was given to us as a universal form of song, vibrational energy through language and mantra form for us to tune into the cosmic streams of light, which is sound as well. And it comes in cones. There's literally resonance cones that are very similar to the cones of a flower, very similar to the cones of a speaker, very similar to our, cones inside our ears and different things like different. It's just the way the universe works, right? Plasma has resonance cones within it, right? And you'll see this sometimes. Uh, Physicists should notice this, like even what they call some of the flares that come from taking pictures. You'll see a lot of times it looks like there's like funnels within funnels, bells within bells that's pouring the light within each other. That's all plasma. Realize that. Those are plasma cones. Same thing you see when a cross, the origins of the cross. It's supposed to be the sun in the middle with all these plasma columns coming out, which form like trumpets, like cones coming out, right? That's what ultimately the cross is the sun with plasma streams and plasma cones coming out, right? And this is like the ankh, right? But the ankh is the coronal mass ejection loop that you see here, right? It's incredible. It's the Pasha. It's what Yama wields, right? Right here. This is Yama, right? This is the coronal loop, right? That I've been talking about. And Varuna is also the one that wields the Pasha. And Varuna is the god of the solar waters, and his golden noose is is there to literally lasso souls and pulls them back into the solar waters, right? So this is how souls get swept from our planet. This is how information gets pulled back to the sun, right? And there's intelligences that congregate and guide and have to do with this. And the maruts are one of them, right? There's Rudra is the father of a group of these storm gods, these maruts. And I mean, you can't get more eloquently poetic plasma terminology, even the way to describe it. I mean, these storm gods Marut that come from Rudra, and Rudra is produced. He's a solar storm now, right? And who's his parents? The light of the dawn, right? And Prajapati. The light of the dawn is one of the only female goddesses in the Vedas, right? And that's Ushas, which I also think the pharaoh Unas later on develops his name from. But that's another whole nother story, right? But we have the Maruts, right? So the Maruts' parents is Rudra. Now Rudra's parents is the goddess of the dawn, Ushas. That's the light of the dawn, right? As the morning howl comes of the light, the storm is coming, right? The solar storm of the night, the magnetotail and all that stuff going on. I mean, this is incredible. So he's a product. The Rudra, the solar storm deity, is a product of Ushas and Prajapati. Now, who is Prajapati? Prajapati is the Lord of the universe. He's maybe the oldest and most powerful of the gods that people tend to forget about. But he's the Lord of all creatures. He's a solar deity, but he's like the universe who gives birth to the solar deities as well. He gives birth to all the gods, Prajapati. And Prajapati mates with the goddess of the dawn to produce the solar storm god Rudra. And the solar storm god Rudra produces his sons, the maruts. And the maruts, I mean, the way they're talked about is, Rudra is the weeper also, right? There's stories where they give a very earthly type of story, but they talk about like Prajapati, where's your son? Oh, he's over there crying. He's the weeper, right? He's Rudra is the one crying the solar water, the plasma water, right? The solar winds, the solar streams, right? And I mean, it's really incredible because the Maruts, these sons of Rudra, how they were born, the lore that they talk about it, the eloquent way they put it is that they were said to have been born from the laughter of the lightning of Rudra. Wow, what a description there. The Maruts, they're born from the laughter of the lightning of the sun. Also known as the Rudriyas, right? The sons of Rudra, right? The Maruts, right? The Rudriyas, the sons of Rudra. The Maruts were these these companions of Indra, right? Where they battle against the demons of the night. And the demons of the night are the ones that's fighting the light. It's the magnetosphere, right? The magnetosphere is fighting the light from penetrating. But then some of the light is absorbed by the magnetosphere on the night side in the magnetotail, right? This is the Vitra. It's really incredible. And check out this as well. Usually these Maruts, they're described as wearing certain things, these deities. Always they're given these golden rings around their arms. I mean, come on. What incredible symbolism. Just like the golden rings of Zoroaster, the golden rings of Inanna, right? The golden rings of the halo, right? You got solar deities that are illuminating and they have a ring around them. This is the ankh. This is the coronal loop, just used and mistranslated, right? Because the light that's coming from the sun, it illuminates us as well. We are antennas. It's connected to the spinal current of who we are. No, we started at about 1:30 instead of 12:30 tonight. So we are using translations that are long since lost, but that has been so important. It's been embedded in us, right? It's in our genetic imprint that we have a hint, an aroma of all of this that's embedded in us, that we know it's so important that it's been passed down. It's been changed into mythologies and oral traditions and certain rituals to keep stories alive. And they were given very earthly descriptions and stories to remember these in a very earthly way. And these stories have been passed down, and the ancient wisdom that has been hidden and poetically inserted in them that only the adepts and spiritual initiates understood, that has been long lost. And it's now reemerging within us in the collective because we need it to survive. And we're at the cusp of losing who we are. Yes, this is information you can't get in any other podcast on the planet. You might be able to get little pieces here and there, but this is next level, everybody. It really is. And it's taken me 30 years of research to get here. Like I had my experience in 1987 when I was like 9 years old, turning 10. And about the time I turned 13 is when I really started to start doing esoteric research and research into paranormal. And like by the time I was 13, I had already like done 3 or 4 years of Bigfoot and UFOs and stuff like that. Because like when I was the early 80s, I'm born in 1978, my area where in the early 80s there was a UFO flap right over my area. I had three sightings in the 80s. I had sightings in 2016, 17 that I got on camera, 2021. But in the 80s, I had a few sightings right here. And we had friends of the family that worked, and right across the Hudson River here is the nuclear power plant, Indian Point, that's now shut down. There was a it was all over when I was a kid. It was the same time as Return of the Jedi was coming out, and is Empire Straight, all these with Jabba the Hutt, those movies and all that was coming out at the same time between like the late 70s to like the mid to late 80s. This area of the Hudson Valley was being invaded by craft that was most likely government using back engineered technology. And from what I understand, I don't know if I could prove it, but I had done a remote viewing of areas in New York here. And there are underground bases, no doubt, probably in New York. But there were cavities beneath the ground that had frozen, literally things growing on it, like crystal type formations from long ago. That's how old they are, that had advanced crafts and things like that embedded in them, and they're in different cavities within the earth all over the planet that are millions of probably years old, right? When you talk about Vimanas, they were not what you think. That stuff put out by ancient aliens was false. There was no Vimana blueprint in Vedic books. That is a false document that was put out by ancient aliens. Unfortunately, that happens a lot. Just because certain people call themselves experts doesn't mean they're experts. And uh, I don't call myself an expert really on the ancient writings, but I'm as close as you're going to get in certain ways. So like I can at least I can smell an expert right away, or someone who's close to an expert. That's why me and Gary Wayne get along so well, because when certain people start talking, I know immediately if they're referencing certain things and where they're referencing, if they're referencing something at all, right? But these divine archers, these solar deities usually are described as divine archers of the sun. This is very a poetic way of the sun throwing its solar darts, right? And Rudra is the divine archer who fires at the gods. He fires at the men, and he fires the cattle, right? The light. And he's either he brings infectious diseases and things like that as well, right? So it's talking about all the things that the sun does. And Rudra, like Varuna, they have the Maya as their supernatural power, right? And that's space, right? That's the space. That's the stars, the water of the stars as well. And the Shakti power of it as well, the female power of it, right? And the bull is a symbol of fertility and rain because it's the bull of the heavens. It brings the rain and it brings fertility. It's from the sun, right? This is solar worship. And the Howler of Rudra is the cannibalistic solar storms that are being developed right now. And because we lost ways of doing mantras and yogas and ways of attuning with these storms, we can't subside them. We only fuel them. Remember, these are coming from our own vibrations. The light that the sun is absorbing it's being altered by its own vibration as well, but it's sending down storms to evolve us according to our own vibration, right? Even these beads, right? The mala beads that they have in the Rudraksha beads that they have, right? There's 108 beads, and this 108. Even a lot of mantras that they have to the sun that are 108 times, right? This has to go with the measurements from here to the sun, right? There's certain measurements that have to do directly with that, and it aligns us to not only the distance from here to the sun, but you know the resonance, the frequency, the vibration, all of that. And these mantras are the highest level of spiritual technology that is long lost. Mantras that can shake the foundations of nature, right? That are powerful, more powerful than neutron bombs, right? And they have all of these different aspects of these gods that are solar phenomenon and stellar phenomenon that we've long lost. And yeah, Ushas is the goddess of the dawn. She's the goddess of the light of the dawn. And she is the parent of Rudra, the Howler, the solar deity. And you also have this in in look at in this is Inanna, right? Inanna right here. She is the one that wields on the battlefield the Melamu headwear, what's called the Melamu headwear, right? Which rains down fire from the sky with precision, right? On the battlefield when she wears her Melamu headdress. But remember, this is not a person on Earth putting on a headdress that brings down fire from the sky on the battlefield. This is the soul sun in its feminine aspect, right? The creation part of the sun. And the sun is putting on its Melamu headdress and raining down fire from the sky. So what is happening? It's an eruption coming from the sun in a headdress formation, which is a hood, which is a coronal loop. When you see the cobra coming from Vedic, the hooded cobra, right down to the solar asp, I mean, literally called the solar asp in Egypt, this is the hooded coronal loop of the sun and the illumination and light coming from it. Look at it's even the script. Look, she is the illuminating sun with her crooked staff, and look at the eruption coming from her crown, right? And she's the roaring lion, the solar lion, right? And this guy is absorbing that illumination, right? It's incredible. I mean, it's shown in different ways. Like this is the Vedic golden noose of the gods right here. Right here, look, this is the way it's shown in Hinduism. It's a golden lasso that's coming from the solar deity, Yama. And it's not something that I'm making fit. It's the origins, my people. And I'm here to share it with you. When you see deities like this holding these snakes, these are the twisting magnetic field lines that form the coronal loops. And you could see this is the bull of the heavens, right? Pouring out the cosmic water. Even if they didn't know the origins anymore. If some of the people that were repeating this stuff didn't understand the true origins, they understood it in their own way. It's really incredible. Really, really incredible. And we can get into Inanna in a minute. Let's get back to Rudra and Yama, right? The Howler. Rudra and Yama are the Howlers. And like I said, later on, Shiva becomes Rudra turns into Shiva, right? Now, Rudra and Shiva also means Shiva as Rudra. When Shiva becomes Rudra, it means like almost the maker of sound as well, the howler, the roarer. And in the Rig Veda, it's some of the most awesome power of a deity. And this is the most awesome power of the sun, pretty much, besides a supernova explosion that it's usually, right, if the sun's big enough. But there's hymns that are specifically addressed to Rudra. And this is now we're going to get into some of the hymns and some of the 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 seers way of tapping into this, right? And there's different roles and there's different companions and children of these gods. And they're linked to Agni, a solar deity, Soma, which is solar waters, right? The intoxicating plasma streams of knowledge, right? And it was also given other meanings on Earth as well, right? Other intoxicating elixirs were named Soma as well, and blissful nectars, right? So the Rudras and the the Maruts, Rudra is the father of the Rudras as well, right? The Maruts are also called Rudras in some terms. So remember that. And they're Vedic storm gods, right? And they're led by Indra as well. They're used in different hymns and different aspects with different deities, but they're pretty much interchanged with Indra as well. And they have their own hymns, right? And they have these twin horsemen in the sky called the Ashwins. And the Ashwins develop these telepathic Vimanas, right? Which is plasma type crafts, if you want to say, for thought, right? That is coming directly from the sun. And it's connected to the thoughts of sentient life on Earth. And there's a bridge happening. And there's these plasma type crafts that are these thought vehicles of the stars. And the twin horsemen are called the Ashwins, right? These are twin horsemen. You see them appear in the nakshatras. People that are familiar with Vedic astrology, they'll see the Ashwins. They're one of the nakshatras, right? And people will see them appear it that way. But there's a deeper cosmic significance to them, right? The nakshatras is part of this, right? But the origin stories have a really incredible, it shows you what they really, some of their true significance, and we can't even fathom. None of us can truly fathom the real intelligence behind suns and stars. And the Ashwins are also called Rudras, and they have a number of hymns of their very own as well. And Rudra is the great father of all of these Vedic gods in some aspect. It's like Prajapati. And Rudra and the Maruts, they end up reflecting the wandering yogi and the wandering yoga and the powers of the pranayama and all of this, right? Because they are the powers of the wandering sun, right? The sun sends its wandering light, its stormy light, just like the Vedic, the wandering Vedic. It takes on that, right? And there's all of these different seers that are associated with these mantras throughout history, right? And they're related to also the solar wind, the Vayu, right? The solar wind. And we can get into some of the mantras, but the Maruts, see the light, these storms, they bring certain intelligences to the planet in the form of plasma, and the light can bring and manifest human forms as sages. They can manifest right in a cave, right out of the light. A human form can manifest, pushed into matter. That gaseous material of plasma, it could come in as light, and it could form as a being. It can push itself into physical matter. And the maruts also are talked about as manifesting in human forms, as sages, you know, and they come as natural forces like lightning and storms, and they can manifest from this light. And they are talked about, the maruts, in the Rig Veda, right? In Rig Veda, I have certain Rig Veda verses here, right? Rig Veda 1, this is from Gautama Rahugana Rig Veda, verse 189.7, right here. The maruts who have spotted horses. Now, when you see solar references that have to do with cattle, it has to do with the light of the sun. When you hear spotted cows, that has to do with sunspots as well. Also, when you see horse references that have to do with solar deities, this also has to do with powers that come from the sun, solar powers. And when they have spotted horses and spotted deer and spotted animals, right? This has to do with light that manifests from sunspots. And this is incredible plasma physics, right? The magnetic fields that develop, they develop sunspots, and these coronal mass ejections come from these sunspots. So they're literally talking about Rudra, the Howler, who births the maruts, and the maruts are coming with their spotted horses from the sun. Right in this Rig Veda, the maruts who have spotted horses, whose mother is Prishni, who have with beauty and are visitors to the sessions of knowledge, men who have the tongues of fire, they are the eyes of the sun. May all the gods come to us with their grace. I mean, this is incredible information that is talked about here. I mean, you see the context. The tongues of fire, the eyes of the sun, spotted horses. Surya is also talked about as the eyes of the sun. And this is all taken directly into later civilizations like the Persians, Zoroastrianism, Sumerian, everything is a derivative off of ancient Vedic. But as these clans went to war and spread out, they started clans of their own, mixed with local population, starts their own off Sanskrit dialect, and develops their own mixed civilization. That's why some of the first ones that developed, like the Mitanni and the Hittites and Elamites and Persians, Assyrians, I mean, they were dealing with sound shifts, Sanskrit, Vedic terms, right? All of them. All of them. And we can prove this time and time again. What's up, Lynn Earthling, Alicia Rose, Tech Lord Gaming, Isaac, Charlotte Knight. Charlotte Knight likes to bust my balls about the podcast. Remember, this is a free podcast, everybody, right here on YouTube. So, and I have a family. So sometimes if I can't do it at certain times, you're getting it for free anyway, right? But I will be starting an audio podcast on the Forbidden Knowledge Network because the Truth Frequency Radio has gone under, I guess. The owner of that just abandoned us all. So I don't know what's going on with that. So I'm going to be doing an audio podcast on Forbidden Knowledge News Network. It's going to be another version of the Space Water podcast. But yeah, you guys, we're going to get even deeper tonight. We still got some show left. I ain't going nowhere because we are dealing with super solar storms that are heading our way. And this is preparing us for the full moon explosive event of August 15th. That's transitioning. That's going to be bringing a lot of change to the planet. The energy is explosive coming right from the sun. And these are high energy storms that are coming our way that affect our DNA. So what's coming out of us right now is literally going to be taken by the sun from these long CME loops, this golden noose of the gods is going to lasso our thoughts and vibrations during this time period and pull it back to the sun and absorb it and send out the emanations. So what we are really calling to be is going to come back and send down. So be careful what you're wishing for, because you're going to get it tenfold. So if you're, groveling, give me this, give me money, give me this, it's never that you won't get an answer. You'll get obstacles put in your way. You'll get the chaos. You'll get the explosions, right? But this is times where we can literally change ourselves in a moment's notice. This full moon in Aquarius that's coming on August 15th, it's going to be volcanic explosions throughout the world, solar storms coming, right? And moments where things can get ignited and changed by the drop of a hat, right? Boom, like right at the explosive fire of a dormant volcano that just awakens out of nowhere and explodes, right? Things can change, drastic changes can happen in a moment's notice, right? And Shiva is the Vedic deity also connected to the Soma like Rudra, and they're a pair in the Vedic thought that has to do with explosive Kundalini experiences as well. And, different mantras to Rudra still are some of the main verses that are used in the Shiva worship today, right? And some of the most commonly used Vedic chants is the Gayatri mantra, right? People might be familiar with this one. It's and this is one of those famous chants that's associated with Rudra and Shiva, right? And there's he's talked about as the three-eyed one in some of the chants as well, right? And there's the later on in the later Vedas, like the Yajur Veda, because you have the Rig Veda, which is the oldest, but then there's later on Vedas like the Yajur Veda, right? This is a later Vedic period compared to the Rig Veda period. But there's the Rudram chant of Krishna Yajur Veda. And this is one of the longest chants and most important chants of Shiva worship. And it uses, the Nama Shiva, that very famous mantra appears in that, right? Everybody knows that mantra, and they have certain weapons that are wielded from these deities, and a lot of them have to do with the golden noose of the gods, the Pasha, the Varuna Pasha, right? And Ganesha uses it, Yama uses it. Yama is a very interesting deity that we've been talking about tonight too. It's not just Aurora the Howler that we're getting in tonight. We're getting a little deep into a lot of different ones, and also Yama, right? Yama is the god of death, and Rudra the Howler is one of the most important ones. But Yama has to do with pulling the souls, I think, as well. And Yama, I guess it's the Surya, I think, is the parent of Rudra, has the parent of Prajapati and and the goddess of the dawn, Ushas. But with Yama, which literally means, I think, twin for his sister is Yami. They were born at the same time. So this is, I think, a binary star type thing that they're talking about, binary sun, right? And Yama is the god of death, right? And you'll see the Rig Veda, they have very interesting earthly ways that talk about even Yama is also associated with like Pluto in the Greek mythology. And the Rig Veda has hymns, like I think he's mentioned more than 50 times in the Rig Veda or so, but he has 3 specific hymns that are specific to Yama himself. and it has to do with the heavens, right? It has to do with the cosmos. It has to do with even pulling ancestors in. And he basically, uh, you know, the way it's described is it, you guys could see for yourselves. I mean, you guys see the golden lasso, the golden noose. I mean, it's incredible. And with the maruts that come in, and they have all of these aspects of the gods that form a lot of times tetrads, right? So we're going to get into the tetrads real quick before we go any further. So the divine tetrad that appears in Hindu mythology is very similar to the divine tetrads that appear in other tetrads as well in other mythologies. Like Enki, for instance, we can compare to this as well. Enki is the lord of the plasma waters. He's the lord, he's the firstborn of An, the Anki. And this is the king of the watery abyss. So, in my opinion, they're talking about the watery abyss around Earth, the magnetosphere, which brings creation of things, and the watery abyss of the sun and the plasma waters, right? And you'll see his brother is Enlil, who's associated with the wind, the solar wind, right? And these are not people, but certain kings and solar deities and dynasties took on names, right, of their counterparts of the cosmos, right? And you have Enki and Enlil and different, the four were the gods of the heaven. They have An, right? The god of the heaven, An, or which comes from the Anus of Vedic, one of the five Vedic people. This is where we get Anunnaki from, right? So that An, he's the firstborn of the Anu, right? And this is Vedic. So when you have the four gods of they have the heaven, which is An or Anu. They have the great mother goddess, basically of the sun, is Ninhursag, right? And then the god of the water is Enki, and then the god of the air or wind is Enlil. And these form creation by merging together these cosmic powers. You have the solar wind, the solar waters, right? You have the heavens itself, and all of these cosmic entities that merge to give birth, right? They are all primary creator gods, and they have a list of different attributes. Unfortunately, a lot of translators want to make it like aliens and things like this, but they're heavenly phenomenon, right? And Enlil is a Sumerian pantheon, and he's a heaven god, and he was the supreme ruler of Sumerian pantheons. And, by like the third millennium BC, his place, Enlil, was as an air god, a solar wind god, you could say. And my contacts are getting dried out. And he was basically the father of the gods, the almighty one, king of all of the land. This is these are basically solar deities, right? But they're also the ruler of the abyss. And what was the abyss name for Sumerian? Does anybody know out there in the chat room? It was Absu. Absu. And where is Absu derived from? Right from Vedic. It's a sound shift from Apis. And Apis in Vedic, APAS, is the waters, the solar waters, the cosmic waters. And this is exactly where the abyss that we use today is stemmed from, and the Absu of Vedic. I mean, the Absu of Sumerian is comes right from the Vedic Apis, right? And then in Egypt they use it as the Apis bull, right? Asar Natar, the Apis bull. Asar Natar is Osiris, right? And Ninhursag, who is also called Aruru sometimes, called Nintu, sometimes called Ninma, sometimes. also, her original name seems to have been Ki, right? Similar, like where Ki comes from. He's the son of Ki. Her original name was Ki, which means the earth, right? It tends to mean, giving the earth, the meeting of earth and the heavens, right? Giving birth to light on earth, right? And she was, right, the Anki, heaven, earth, Anki, Anki, light to earth, right? Heaven to earth. And Anki is where you get that from, and they're, these great God, Anki is that king of the watery abyss, right? And he is the king of the plasma sea, right? And there's tetrads and Hittites. There's Hittites in there's tetrads in Japanese. In Greek, you got Cronus, Rhea, Zeus, Hera. You got Canaanites, you got Asherah and El, and then you have Baal and Anath. Those are these tetrads that form, all of them form different solar and cosmic elements to give birth to life on earth, to light on earth. They're creator deities, right? They're creator parts of the sun, different aspects. And then you also have it in Vedic, right? In Vedic, you have different forms of uh combinations that bring creations, right? And Shiva is, like I said, part of the storm god Rudra, the roarer, the howler, but they also have Kali, who's the woman form, who's carrying her many, weapons and arms, and she, she's the roaring force of the sun as well, right? And the Shakti power, right? That's connected to our Kundalini explosive power, right? And then you have Ganesha, who removes obstacles with his Pasha noose, his golden noose. And, uh, you know, all of these different mythologies, right? In Japanese, you have Izanami and Izagagi, Izanagi and Izanami, that they produce the goddess Amaterasu, which is a sun goddess, and she's the heaven shining. And this story has plasma physics in it as well. It's a very interesting story, and we're going to get into different Japanese and solar myths another time as well. But Rudra, the solar howler, is very prominent right now in what's going on with what we're absorbing right now. Right now, on the far side of our sun, I don't know if I have the pictures here, but on the far side of our sun right now, we are experiencing these storms all over our sun. We have interconnected sunspots that are developing these solar storms that have spiritual significance to what's transpiring on our planet. They are literally, we are absorbing this information that's coming from the sun. And I actually think a lot of these storms, and this would be frowned upon in plasma physics right now, what I'm about to say, but a lot of these storms are intelligences. Yeah, realize that the sun and the stars, they're vibrating frequencies, their resonance, all of the plasma streams that are coming from stars and suns, they're they're connected to the spinal current of sentient life. The all, at least how we work, they're connected to the spinal current of humanity. Literally, we're walking antennas absorbing the light, and just like crystals, a piece of quartz is alive, people. This is alive. Quartz is alive. It has energy running through it, right? And we have some powerful, powerful new products made that you guys got to check out. Let's take a little break here. I'll get some water, and you guys can check out right here at the Mystical Spiral store. This Space Water podcast tonight is sponsored by our own themysticalspiralstore.com, and you guys can find all my products right here at the Mystical Spiral Store. And you guys can see we have a whole new level of warrior wear, some of the most incredible stuff you can wear. And I even have, I'm going to put them up later. I got $25 shungite pendants coming up, the little guys. I just made a whole bunch of them with the silver coil around them. So they're affordable for everyone. Little guys with the silver and shungite. And I also have the Golden Healer Year of the Dragons that we're putting up as well. I have a few of them up already, but I'm putting up a lot of different products every day. You guys can see some of these products are next level. All of them are next level quality. And you guys can check me out at the mysticalspiralstore.com. I also do readings. You guys can get readings. You can get even sign up for yearly readings where we do 2 readings a month. And we have all these different crystal skull readings that you guys can choose from, that I use crystal skulls for the readings as well. No, Ancient Aliens is definitely not the way to go. Oh, you're far back in the show, Charlotte. I talked about Ancient Aliens like an hour ago. So you're watching something from before. But you guys can see we got all different crystals, all different types of crystals, palm stones, wands. I got some cool programmed items as well. You got programmed crystals, look, programmed crystals and gemstones. You got merch. I don't think you guys ever even seen some of the merch we got. Check out some of the merch here. I'm also coming tomorrow. We'll have the Space Border podcast sweatshirts as well. Right now we have my Spiral Out sweatshirts, and we even have champion sweatshirts of Spiral Out. This is the champion sweatshirt, official champion sweatshirt. This includes the shipping and stuff, but these are really cool. They have the Eye of Ra on the back. Does it show the back? Yeah, the Eye of Ra on the back, and their official champion sweatshirts. Check that out. Really cool. And they're champion. And they got the Spiral Out logo, and they have the champion thing on the arm with the Eye of Ra on the back, Eye of Horus. Really cool here. And we got all of these, our own canvases that we make. These are all made by me and my family. We got mugs, t-shirts, sweatshirts. My wife loves this sweatshirt. She has this one right here. She has the hooded one like this. This is a really soft material. She loves it. And then these ones are cool too. I got one like this. This is the back part. That's the front. Really cool. Spiral Out. Yeah, I mean, Ancient Aliens and all those shows, even Gaia TV, this is for entertainment. That's for entertainment people. They have hired guns. Like that guy Billy Carson. He's not an expert. He's hired to read cue cards. Do you guys realize that? And he's really good at like memorizing stuff. So they hired him at Gaia TV. Like I know a lot of people that worked with him at Gaia. I'm friends with Johnny Enoch and a lot of those guys that have worked. He was hired to read cue cards. Right? He's not. I hear what he talks about. I've heard him a couple times. He's not an expert on anything. He's just he looks good in a suit. He's a tall dude. They needed diversity at Gaia, and this is why they hired him. Because he looks good in a suit and he presents the stuff well and he can read cue cards well. He's an actor. He applied for a job. So those shows are made for TV and for entertainment. You want real cosmic truth, you got to come to somebody that goes to battle for the truth. That is literally going to spiritual coordinates on the planet and working with earth energy spots, working with this light, and have been a defender for those that have been trying to poach off the energy of humanity and off the light from the sun for their own benefit and powers to make themselves more materialistic, more greedy, more material, like more worried about what they look like and this and that. And all of that energy is those that are poaching from the collective consciousness to get what they want. And then there are those that are battling those people. So step up and make a choice, people. It's time. We all need gear when we go into battle, and this is why I've developed these products. And I've gotten the highest quality, most ethically sourced items you can get. Yeah, this one really goes with my soul. These couple right here. I love the pink lithium Lemurian quartz right here. That's that looks like an advanced battery for your soul. Literally looks like an advanced battery for your soul. But yeah, you don't gotta take it from me. I'm sure everybody out there has something good to offer. And but I can't listen to a lot of people out there because I've spent decades going over some of the research that they tend to discuss, and I could sniff bullshit real quick, right? And I know bullshit when I see one. I know a car salesman when I see one, right? So I have inquired about him a couple of times. I asked like, "Yo, do you know?" And I was like, "Is my suspicions correct?" And they're like, "Dude, you called it completely." So yeah, like I mean, I'm not gonna go to. I never really bring up other people, but I mean, you guys can go support him if you want. Go donate money to his invisible stock of forbidden knowledge. He has like invisible stock that you can donate to. But oh, check out some of the Himalayan quartz. I'm about to put these up. These are got the rutile threads in them. If anybody's interested in these, I got a few left. They got rainbow phantoms inside and garden quartz inside. Very, very high quality. Can't really give it justice right here, but they're very high quality. And then a couple of quartz free forms with phantoms and rainbow in them. Really high quality quartz. These are Himalayan quartz. I just had one ocean jasper heart made too, if anyone's interested in it. Really big guy. I got some real clear selenite. But I love these the spirit quartz too. The spirit quartz wrapped in copper. Twisted copper. This is really beautiful. Let me see if it'll. Yeah, it's not a good view. Yeah, I mean, don't take my word for it. You don't have to. But what time is it? Yeah, yesterday we did what was it? Maybe was it yesterday? Yeah, we did like a 2.5 hour show where I did readings for people. Shout out to everybody who came. 3:15 a.m. over here. Glad you guys are here with us. You guys, the Herkimer diamonds are next level we have here in New York as well. They have such a vibration about them. There are different frequency of quartz that are just incredible, and some of them have ancient water inside of them. So contact me if you want Herkimer diamonds. We got a good amount of them, and some of them are really incredible. I mean, all of them are really incredible. Let me show you though some of them. Oh wait, here, check out this. This was the Super 7 scepter that I just made. It's up on my website, but I don't have the pictures up yet. This thing is next level. Look at the clarity. It's a scepter of Super 7 with the beautiful twisted royal cubit tensor coil around it. Super 7 scepter, and it has a lot of the red line inside, that Super 7 gem. It's incredible. You can't do it justice on this video, but next level. And to get that for under 200 bucks is a great deal. I'm also making the Himalayan quartz crystal skulls wrapped in the twisted tensor coil. So contact me if you want or you're interested in making me making one of these custom ones for you. I have some of these crystal skulls available to make. I do custom orders as well. So there's a lot of inventory that I have that I do custom orders for people. So let me show you guys some of these Herkimers. Right here is just some smaller ones, but I got some real big ones too. Let me see if I can get a good view here. This is a nice size one. Yeah, I don't think you're going to be able to get a good view like here with this. Maybe if I put this other light on. Yeah. Yeah. All of that. Yeah, you're right, Charlotte. All of that is the mantras of the universe to tie us in. And that's why Sanskrit was developed to harness. See that? Look at that beautiful Herkimer diamond. And these are double terminated Herkimer diamonds. Really cool. Watch, let's see how piezoelectric they are. I'm going to take two of them and rub them together. People be like, no, don't mess them up. I'll take two lesser clear ones. See if we can get some currents coming out of this. Oh, that one's too cool. I don't want to mess it up at all. All right. Let's see if I could get some sparks coming out of this. Shit. Yeah, it's sparking. Whoa. Dude, it just lit up inside there. Here, let me use a bigger piece so I can show you guys. You might even be able to see it on here. Yesterday, you was able to see it right when I did it like this. But you ship this. See it? Yeah, now you can see it. Look at that. Sparks. We got some electrical impulses. See? Just by squeezing it. Shows you that your court it carries currents. It's alive. It's alive. It's 3:22 a.m. here. It's 3:22 a.m. We've been live for 2 hours, right? Just about. The solar storm howler of Rudra. And let's look up the sunspots right now, real quick. Let me pull them up. All right, let me share screen. So we got here sunspot regions, some massive sunspot regions here. And these are regions on the far side and on the near side of the sun that are affecting life on Earth always. And you can see the number of sunspots in the regions and the heavily active regions. And you'll see some of these are having huge X-class. Three, 7, 6, 2. All these regions are big regions on the sun. 3762 is a massive region. And then I do believe that incoming plasmas are generating these sunspots. And this is controversial, but I have been shown this through remote viewing the sun. And I feel that different places in our universe are sending incoming plasma streams. And one of them is the huge void that we have in the Eridanus River. And we're going to be talking about that in the next podcast. But you can see some of these regions that we have here. Huge regions on the sun. And these are the spotted horses. These are the spotted cows of Vedic, of the solar deities. Even stories where they talk about let me see. Do they have another? See, we have right now the cannibal, what I was saying, the cannibal roarer Rudra, the superstorm, solar storm Rudra, cannibal solar storm. They're happening right now. Ten hours ago. Washington is on Northern Lights watch this week as a cannibal solar storm blasts Earth. This is the Howler roarer of Rudra. Solar plasma heading to Earth. Look at this guy. See, they have the solar orbiter, right? The solar orbiter is one of those technologies where when remember I was talking about before, so like literally the whispers in the wind, some unseen force and intelligence from the light, from the plasma, is some of the whispers behind what makes us even name certain acronyms for things, right? So the advanced telescope that shows all the sunspots that's on the orbiter is the acronym for it is STIX. STIX, which is very similar to the river Styx, STYX, which is the solar, fiery, golden river of the sun that you have to cross over in the afterlife. And we have the telescope that eyes the face, which is the solar volcanic river of the sun. The acronym of it is STIX. I'll show you guys. Hold on. Let me just pull it up before I share screen. Ah, your sister this. All right, so let me share screen. So this is what STIX stands for. Spectrometer telescope for imaging X-rays. And STIX is one of the 10 instruments on board the scientific payload of the Solar Orbiter mission. Right? STIX provides hard image X-ray imaging spectroscopy, I hate that word, spectroscopy in the 450 keV energy range, observing hard ray X-ray, and look it's showing these emissions from the sun that we're talking about, and this is the very Styx River of the afterlife. So I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that's some deep cosmic significance right there. It's incredible that that's named Styx. Really incredible. Well, guys, I'm going to wrap it up now. It has been a pleasure being here. This is the Space Water Podcast, sponsored by the mysticalspiralstore.com. My name is Castaldo. We'll be live tomorrow night as well. Go to the Mystical Spiral store right now. Anybody who makes a purchase after this will get a free pendant. So take care and spiral out.